Welcome to the Soulful Vibe, where hope and love come alive. With me guiding the way, let's find joy in every day. Soulful moments, let's begin a journey to the light within. Inspiring hearts, transforming minds. Together we'll rise, it's our time.
All right, so we're diving deep today into this fascinating world where faith and content creation and finding your purpose all kind of come together, especially for those of us who, maybe feel like we're at a crossroads a bit, after 40. And to guide us, we've got three sources. First, a YouTube video by a content creator named Mia. She's got a pretty bold claim, that people in their 40s, they should be the ones creating content.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. Then we're going to move on to a blog post excerpt. It's all about this idea of rerouting in life. And finally, we'll dig into a full-length article by Love Mia Writes, which expands on this whole rerouting idea even more. And guess what? It seems like Mia from that YouTube video might be the same person behind those other sources too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're basically following along with her journey as we, unpack all this. What do you think about that?
I like it. It's like we're getting a front row seat to someone really wrestling with these big questions, as they're living it.
Exactly. It makes it feel so much more real. So let's start with Mia's content creation journey, her whole story. Her argument is, by the time you hit your 40s, you stop caring so much about what other people think, and you've got all this wisdom and experience, that you can share. Do you think that's true? Are you feeling that shift at all, like in your own life?
It's an interesting thought for sure. I mean, it's like this trade-off happens. You might be a little less worried about, fitting in, and a lot more interested in actually making a difference, making an impact. It's almost like you've earned the right to speak your truth,
Yeah, I get that. And Mia's really open about the fact that this content creation thing, it's not always easy. It's not always sunshine and roses. She talks about feeling super overwhelmed by things like view counts and falling down the rabbit hole of all those how-to videos. Just, total information overload when you're trying to figure out this whole online world. I think we've all felt that overwhelm at some point.
Totally. It's like you're drinking from a fire hose with all that information coming at you, It's hard to know what to focus on, what to ignore, how to even process it all.
Exactly. And there's this one story Mia tells. She was working for 24 hours straight, just fueled by this intense desire to learn and create. She was so driven. It shows you how much passion she has, even when things are chaotic. And then she makes this analogy. I thought it was really interesting. She compares finding your niche in content creation to LeBron James figuring out his game. It's all about finding that superstar thing, that thing you're meant to master, what you were born to do. What would you say your superstar thing is? Have you figured that out yet?
Oh, that's a good question. It's more than just what you're good at, right? It's about that sweet spot where your passion and your skills come together. And maybe it's not just one thing. Maybe it's a whole bunch of talents and experiences that make you, it's like a superstar team, not just one player.
I love that, a superstar team. But here's where things get really interesting. Mia also talks about having doubts. She shares this dream she had about the Salvation Army. And it kind of symbolizes this feeling that her efforts weren't good enough. I think anybody who's trying to create something new, they can relate to that. That fear that what you're putting out there isn't valuable or that you don't measure up.
Yeah, it's so refreshing that she's willing to be open about that kind of stuff, I mean, we all have those doubts. It's like this constant battle in your head between, that inner critic and that voice saying, keep going.
Yeah. Right.
But the fact that she's willing to share those struggles, it actually makes her message even stronger, It's like she's saying, hey, it's okay to feel this way. We're all in this together.
I totally agree. And she even talks about her financial struggles and how her life isn't, picture perfect. Not like those Instagram aesthetics we see all the time. It's brave of her to be that vulnerable, but it just makes her message of authenticity that much more real.
For sure. It really challenges that whole success idea that's shoved in our faces online all the time. The perfect feeds and the filters and the highlight reels. We forget that everybody has a story, and it's often the messy, imperfect parts that make us who we are.
So true. And then she brings in this Bible verse from Ecclesiastes that really resonated with me. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. She uses it to kind of illustrate the idea that you have to put your work out there, trust the process, and believe that it'll find its audience, eventually. It's a message of patience and faith, especially for anyone who's feeling discouraged.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that real impact, it often takes time. It's not about going viral or that instant gratification stuff. Sometimes it's about just showing up consistently, sharing your work, and trusting that it'll connect with the right people, even if it takes a while.
Absolutely. And here's a really important piece of advice Mia gives. She talks about how important it is to seek guidance, from God before jumping into the whole content creation thing. It's about aligning your creative stuff with a higher purpose, making sure you're on the right path. It adds this whole spiritual dimension I think a lot of people are looking for, when it comes to finding your purpose and making your work matter.
Yeah, I think that's a key takeaway here. It's not just about creating content to create content, right? It's about asking yourself, why am I doing this? What message am I trying to share? How can I use my gifts to actually make things better? It's about making your work match your values and your beliefs.
Exactly. And that leads us perfectly to the next part of our deep dive, which is all about this rerouting in life. We're moving on to that blog post excerpt. And remember, this is also written by Mia. She's using the name Love Mia Writes. So it seems like there's this deeper connection here between her experience as a content creator and this idea of rerouting. What are your thoughts on that connection?
I'm curious to see how she ties these two things together. It's like she's gone through something personally that's led her to this understanding of how life takes these unexpected turns, even when you think you've got it all planned out.
Right. It feels like we're about to go on a journey with her.
Okay,
So in this blog post, she dives into this idea of rerouting. Those moments when it feels like, a higher power, God, is stepping in and redirecting you, even when you thought you had your own plan. Has that ever happened to you? A time when life took you in a direction you never expected?
Oh, absolutely. It's like you're driving, following your GPS, and all of a sudden you miss an exit. You're off course and you have to recalculate. Sometimes those detours, they lead you to amazing things you never would have found if you'd stayed on that original route. Other times, well, they're frustrating, confusing, but they still get you where you're meant to be in the end.
I love that analogy of the GPS thing. Mia actually uses a similar one in the post. She talks about missing those metaphorical exits in life and feeling lost, disoriented. But then eventually you find your way back, maybe a little bruised, but, ultimately stronger and wiser from the whole experience.
And that's the point, right? It's not about avoiding those detours or pretending they don't happen. It's about figuring out how to navigate them, trusting the process, and believing that even when things are uncertain, there's a bigger plan unfolding.
Right, and that's where we're going to dive into even deeper in the next part. We're moving on to that full-length article by Love Mia Writes. She explores spiritual rerouting in a lot more depth. What are you most curious to learn about as we go deeper?
I'm really interested to see how Mia connects this idea of spiritual rerouting to her own experiences as a content creator. Does she see her struggles as part of that bigger rerouting? Is she being guided toward a new path, I'm excited to explore those questions with you.
Me too. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more of our deep dive.
Through every twist and turn, you're my faithful friend. When I think I'm off track, you pull me back in line. In this journey of renewal, Lord, I'm yours, I'm defined. Yes, I'm yours. Oh, Lord, forever I'll be in this place of free where you set me free. Reviving, restoring, rerouting my soul. In every step I take, Lord, you make me whole. Yes, I'm yours, oh Lord, forever I'll be in this place of real where you set me free. Reviving, restoring, rerouting my soul. In every step I take, Lord, you make me whole. Oh, I'm yours, I'm divine. Yes, I'm yours, oh Lord, forever I'll be in this place of real where you set me free. Reviving, restoring, rerouting my soul.
I think this is where it gets real for a lot of people. We've all felt lost or unsure at some point. But how do we know if it's just a temporary thing or like a sign that it's time for a big change?
That is the question, right? And thankfully, Mia really digs into that in this article. So first, what does spiritual rerouting even mean? The article explains it as kind of adjusting your path in life to align with like a higher purpose. Think of it this way. It's not about giving up on your dreams. It's more like refining them, maybe even rediscovering them in a way that feels, more authentic, more fulfilling.
It's like trading in a blurry map for a GPS, right?
Yeah.
You might still be heading in the same direction, but now you've got clearer guidance. You're less likely to hit those dead ends or take a wrong turn.
I love that. And speaking of GPS, one of the key ideas here is trusting in divine timing, even when it doesn't make sense logically. It's like that moment when your GPS recalculates after you miss an exit, right? You might be frustrated at first, but you trust that it's guiding you back to the right path, even if it takes a little longer.
And sometimes that detour takes you on a scenic route you never would have found otherwise. I think that's where faith comes in, trusting that even when things feel uncertain, there's this bigger plan unfolding that we can't always see.
Okay, so how do we actually recognize when it might be time for one of these spiritual reroutes? The article gives a few signs you might be experiencing this. Have you ever felt that restlessness, like a kind of unease, even if things on paper look good? Or maybe those opportunities you thought were sure things, they suddenly close. Those doors slam shut when you were so sure they were meant to open.
Yeah, those are definitely times to stop and ask yourself some deeper questions. Like, are you chasing something that doesn't fit who you are anymore? Are you holding on to a vision of the future that maybe needs a little update?
And Mia also talks about those repeated confirmations, those little nudges you get, maybe through prayer, through conversations with people you trust, or even just a feeling deep down. It's like this inner voice saying, hey, pay attention, something's changing here.
It's like a pattern starts to emerge, these little signs pop up everywhere and you just can't ignore them anymore.
But sometimes we miss those signs, right? We ignore those whispers.
We do.
The article talks about how easy it is to miss those spiritual exits because we're so busy or because of all the pressure we feel from the outside. Sometimes we're just so focused on our own ambitions, our own timelines, we miss those little cues that maybe it's time to adjust course.
Yeah, we forget to look up from the map and enjoy the scenery, or we're so fixated on getting to the destination that we miss the beauty and the lessons of the journey itself.
That's so true. And Mia reminds us, it's not about being perfect. It's okay to miss those exits sometimes. It's a chance to pause, reflect, maybe recalibrate our internal GPS. And when we experience those reroutes, faith plays a huge role in how we navigate them. She talks about how faith can turn uncertainty into trust. Even when the path is unclear, believing in a higher purpose, believing you're not alone, that can sustain you through all those twists and turns.
Faith gives you that anchor when the storms come. It reminds you that you're not in control, and sometimes that's a good thing. Surrendering to something bigger than yourself, it can be incredibly freeing.
Absolutely. And Mia illustrates this with stories from the Bible about figures who were also rerouted: Abraham, Joseph, Moses. Even those who achieved great things faced these unexpected detours. I find that really comforting, knowing that even those we see as, like, spiritual giants had to navigate uncertainty and change.
It reminds us we're all part of this much larger story, like a tapestry woven together by, a divine hand. Our journeys, with all the twists and turns, they contribute to something way bigger than ourselves.
The article even has an FAQ section. It dives into some really practical questions about rerouting. Questions like, how do I know if God's redirecting me? Or how can I trust him when the path's not clear? It's like she knew exactly what questions we'd have.
It shows that faith isn't just some abstract idea. It's a real force that can guide us every day, helping us make decisions, handle challenges, find our way back when we've strayed off course.
And finally, she ends the article with this beautiful message. Embrace the journey, embrace the destination. It's a reminder that it's not just about the end goal. It's about savoring the lessons and the growth that happen along the way. And it ties back to what we were talking about earlier about Mia's content creation journey. Maybe it's not about the numbers or the validation. Maybe it's about using her platform to share her story, her struggles, her faith, in a way that connects with people on a deeper level.
It's about finding meaning and purpose in each step, even the messy parts. And that message applies to everyone, whether you're a content creator, an entrepreneur, or just trying to figure out what's next in life.
So true. As we head into the final part of this deep dive, let's take a moment to think about everything we've explored. We followed Mia's journey as a content creator, we've dived into rerouting, and we've learned how faith can be a compass when the path seems unclear.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? And it feels like it's just getting more interesting. I'm curious to see where Mia's path leads her next.
Here's a thought-provoking question as we wrap up this deep dive.
I'm listening.
What if all of Mia's challenges as a content creator, what if they're actually a form of spiritual rerouting? Like, could she be being guided toward a totally different path? Maybe a new way of using her gifts that she hasn't even discovered yet.
It's definitely possible, right? It makes you think about how we see setbacks. We often see them as failures when maybe they're really opportunities in disguise.
Yeah, maybe this whole experience is pushing her to redefine success. Maybe it's not about the numbers or the validation, but about the impact she's having on people who connect with her message. Her message of, like, authenticity and being vulnerable.
Maybe she's meant to inspire others not just by her successes, but also by her willingness to share the whole journey, the ups, the downs, the doubts, the breakthroughs. It's like a reminder that none of us have it all figured out, and that's okay.
So as we finish up, I want to encourage you to think about your own superstar thing. What are you passionate about? What gifts are you holding back? And are there any areas in your life where maybe, you're experiencing a reroute right now?
Don't forget, those detours, those unexpected turns, they might lead to the most amazing places. Trust the process, embrace the journey, and keep listening to that inner voice guiding you toward your purpose.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep seeking, keep diving deep.
And may your path be filled with purpose and meaning and all those unexpected blessings that come with embracing those reroutes along the way.
Welcome to the Soulful Vibe, where